Hello. Yes,
Yeah,
Nehal. Hi.
Yeah, hello. Hi, good morning. I think we'll just start now. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Raj.
Morning.
Nice.
Good morning.
Yeah, good to have you here. So I think we'll start. There are a few more participants who are joining and they're getting disconnected. So let them join as the session progresses. That's perfectly fine because we are already at 10 minutes ahead of our schedule. So okay, so let me introduce myself first and our platform, and then we'll start with our introduction of our mentor, followed by a small presentation, and then we'll be having a question answer session. So I am Snehal Jagdale Surve. I am co-founder of Alternate Angle Academy, and I welcome all of you to today's session. And thank you for deciding to spend your Saturday mornings with us. Alternate Angle, as you know, is Academy, as you know, is a knowledge sharing platform for built environment. Built environment, if you see, it's a very diverse industry. It has many fields and many professions in it. But the way we are educated for our own discipline. We hardly get to interact with any of the professionals from other industry. So at Alternate Angle Academy, we try to bridge this gap and make it a little easier because the profession is not like that. In profession, you get to work and interact with other professionals. So here, our senior professionals who are working in the field for quite some time, maybe 15 years or plus, are coming here to share their practical knowledge. They interact directly with the participants, and it's a one-to-one interactive seminars that we held here. And we encourage people from diverse disciplines to join our courses so that you can learn about the parallel streams which are there and in the industry, and it will help you perform better in your own disciplines. So this is our attempt, and through this attempt, we introduce different courses. So one such course we are going to talk about is today. And at the end of each course, we also issue certificates to our participants. So there is a certificate of completion and a certificate of participation. So certificate of completion is given to participant who has attended all the sessions, who have done all the assignments assigned to them, and who have shown good participation in the course. And certificate of participation is given to those who might have missed the sessions due to some reasons, and they are not able to attend the entire course, or they are not able to submit their assignments. So for them, we issue certificate of participation. So these certificates will help you, to showcase that you have learned about this field as well. So today we are here to talk about one such very interesting course of real estate, a dynamic perspective for future professionals. It will be conducted by our mentor, Pratnesh Trivedi. He is here with us today, and he's joining us from Mumbai. And we are hoping for a very interesting discussion. So welcome to our platform, Pratnesh.
Thank you so much, Nehal, for that quick background about the academy. And I should also say that you are yourself is an architect, so you need to introduce yourself as well. Architect planner, and have been practicing for more than
20 plus. Yeah.
20 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So wonderful to see you all. Hi, everyone.
So I would also like to introduce Pratnesh. He is a professional with 25 plus years of experience in real estate and IT industry. He has experience of working in reputed corporate houses and have gained extensive insights on managing real estate development projects, including land acquisition, design and marketing brief, construction, sales, project finances, development up to handover. So entire cycle of the project he has handled in his professional life. And in his IT professional stint with FTIL, he has worked on business plan as well as product development of online e-commerce platform for construction industry. And besides all this experience, he's also an ardent educator. So he has been associated with many reputed institutes like RICS, CEPT, and Nirma University as visiting faculty and jury for courses of real estate, MBA and BBA programs. So Pratnesh also has a bachelor's degree in construction technology, master's in housing planning from CEPT University Ahmedabad, and MBA from IBS Mumbai. He is also MRICS UK. And today he is with us to share what he is planning for his course. And we'll have a small presentation and a chat with him along with it. And it will be followed by a question answer session. So you are all welcome to ask your questions or your doubts. We can discuss about it today. So we are looking for a very interactive session. So please don't hold back, ask all your questions. And this is what the session is all about. So Pratnesh, should we start with our presentation or you want to add something before we start?
No, I just wanted to welcome everyone and just to give a small background that, this industry has been a very interesting industry. And, I've been teaching in various universities across, and in architecture school, planning school, or even MBA schools. I have noticed one thing that we never had this structured, form of doing business as far as real estate is concerned. So typically an architect would always think about, housing and residential. That's a limited scope to start with in their careers, and then they slowly move into. But now when we see in last 25 years, like we never went to a school which actually offered a program in real estate, unlike the Western world. So that's the difference which we need to now evolve, and we have evolved because we are now reached from a design of a construction of a house to offices to so many products, retail to industrial warehousing, you name it, and we are there. So I mean, we are omnipresent, and I think it's time that we make it more structured. So idea of this course when I was designing was to just give a preamble to my audience, is to understand that this is not a typical real estate course where you're taught ABC of real estate. It's more of when how you what's the complete perception of how a product is there. Product leads to investment, and how everything gets integrated in terms of finance, marketing, and various other things. So we'll cover it into this preview, but just to give a background that this course has been completely designed by me, and I have, what I've realized is that being from such backgrounds, I felt that when we actually graduate, we're not given any directions in terms of, I mean, we are getting directions, but there is still a very strong sense of direction which is required in terms of focus on how do you build a career. And I felt that this could be a one small gesture to my young architects and engineers who have absolutely clear vision. They should have an Arjun eye. So if that happens, then it's only that you have to work hard and get it. So let's start with it, Snehal. I'll leave it. I'll just let's go to the presentation so that we can give them exact focus on what we are doing.
Sure.
What are we?
Yeah, let me share my screen here. Yeah, so this is the title of the course, Real Estate, a Dynamic Perspective for Future Professionals. So, in the title, I wanted to ask you that we are talking about future professionals. Now there are architects, there are planners, and there are engineers who are closely associated with real estate. they know how to design structures, they know how to look at other perspective, but how does a perspective of real estate going to help professionals like architects, planners, or engineers, uh, as per your perspective?
Yeah, I think there's a very simple answer to this is that we have to break down the thought process of creating a product, because architecture talks of creativity, engineers talk about innovations in design in terms of engineering designs and doing value to it, and planners, of course, they're like brahmas, and they want to do master planning and they want to bring in. Now most of this has socio-economic aspects of planning, which is to be brought into make good cities. So when we look at the real estate as a product, real estate is omnipresent, and we can't go live without it. So the answer is very simple, that you need to get focused on the three parts of it. One is the part of design. When you are an engineer or you are an architect, you're only focusing on creating a product. But what we are missing out is in couple of things like costing, couple of things like deliveries. What kind of product you will live in, whether you are going to be part of that house. Is it your own building? It's your own asset? Will you do that? Those kind of things are very important. So that makes the difference. So we need to obviously, the second and the third thing is about design, putting it into the right perspective, and looking at from what a customer or a stakeholder's point of view. So we'll cover it into different sessions on how do we answer these queries.
So looks like architects, planners, and architects and engineers are going to gain a different perspective about this industry, about their own field from this course. So the other one, this is the first session that you have, you have curated. So which talks about real estate as a perspective of real estate. So I wanted to understand that there are various products in the market, and there are various businesses that are going on to. So is real estate also can be compared to any of other businesses that we have around? So is it like a business? How do you define it?
I would always compare whilst we are all getting educated and the country is getting educated in terms of architecture, construction, planning, going to B schools and things like that. Look at the last 100 years, 500 years. We always created structures. We always created assets. We created opportunities for work. So right, so we were, even from the time of kingdom, we evolved ourselves. So if you look at the way the business has, if you look at the perspective of the business angle coming in, yes, today every developer, every investor who comes in, everywhere we see it is a cash in and cash out. We are all looking at high returns. We are trying to equate with risk and returns. What kind of risk are we having? And that is why it is very important to understand the business model in terms of compare it with manufacturing a car or pencil to a real estate. Real estate is no more a real estate in terms of what we thought in the last 30, 40 years. We have to go beyond that. And when we are learning into schools, whether in architectural construction schools, we are not looking at that perspective of what is the mindset of a businessman. And when we start looking at it, I think that makes sense. So it is essential. So what we are doing in the first session, what I wanted to make everybody understand is that compare it with any business. Any business, you say whether textile, you take off petroleum, you talk of trading, marketing of whether you talk of equity, stock exchanges, all that. We need to now we are into that stage of India has gone up to REITs, and REITs has just come into commercial. So once the horizons expand, more business models will come in. In fact, in the business models, I'm also thinking of bringing how the landowners have been participating, how different roles have been coming in. So in the ecosystem, we have developers, builders, investors, brokers, channel partners, contractors, various forms of consultants like structural, MEP. Everybody becomes so important, and it's quite a bit of challenging task of putting them across on one single desk,
Mhm.
making a plan and executing it. It's like making a film. So if
Mhm.
you really see, we have been very unstructured for many years, and it's time that we bring industry has gone much ahead in the last 15 years,
Mhm.
and this session actually captures about what are the asset classes, how we can optimize the value in each asset class, what are those asset classes. Most of the students would not have got exposed to various forms of these asset classes.
Mhm.
So how those decisions happen. So we'll try to cover that. So we'll see what opportunities are coming into. Let's say you're an architect and you want to get into jobs. So what do you want to do? You take up into working with a senior architect for a few years, and then you get into your own profession. You need to look at different kind of products, like say now with online coming in, and a lot of data analysis coming in. You need to get geared on what kind of data I would need to design my project. What
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
softwares which I can use. It's no more those AutoCADs. It's more of data mining, understanding from a larger perspective of how my each element of design can make that.
Mhm.
So even that has to be captured somewhere, which I'm covering into session 4, 3, and 4.
Oh.
So, opportunities into various sectors,
Mhm.
opportunities into infrastructures, like infrastructure and like urban infrastructure in terms of, let's say, water supplies, transport, freight corridors. Let's say you have bullet trains coming in. How real estate? How are you going to fund these? So all these opportunities will be discussed, and once you are in that room where such decisions are being taken, where you have a larger perspective, I think that makes a difference, because you are not treated like a design guy who would not understand finance, who would not
Yes.
understand cost.
Yes. So yeah, that's very important. But because when we go out in market, that is one thing that we need to understand different angles of this industry and different things that goes into this market. So what you're talking about will be very valuable to all the professionals. So the next session that you're talking about is, whatever you do, you require a land to develop. So land becomes a major asset for real estate. How do tackle this commodity, this valuable thing that we have, very scarce land? So what are you going to talk about in this session?
See, I'm seeing land. I mean, land has to be looked in a very different perspective. One you have is a greenfield project. You are expanding cities, and you're doing. It's a different kind of challenge to design a large city township, or a project in an open plot. Now, if you look at Mumbai or you look at Ahmedabad, you look at Bangalore, you look at Hyderabad, most of the cities where in the center, we are more than now 100 years old in terms of RCC buildings, or a combination of RCC and steel, or, wood and things like that. When we have so many, so that the now government is also focusing on redevelopment, slum redevelopment and things like that. So when you're looking at that, integrating along with, let's say, all these land parcels are there. Large parcels of land are available with the government. There are opportunities for government to develop this through private participation, PPP model, the PPP model, and things like that. So here I want to cover a perspective of, okay, I mean, there are 10 schools, or then there are 100 people who would talk about, land, how do you buy land, and how do you, that definitely I'll cover. But the point is that I want to give, insight on why do you have to handle this land, and how do you optimize it? What are those approvals which are required? What are the easier part of, of doing this, and what are the, difficult parts of doing it? So all the positives and negatives, you do SWOT analysis of land parcels. How do you get approvals? What are the challenges in terms of various acts, various laws which are pertaining to the land. If you have the fair idea of it, I think even an architect would turn into a developer. I'm sure getting an insight. So here, people are owning these lands for many years, and they don't want to part with these lands, but they want to get annuity based income out of it, and that's where the whole valuation of the product comes out. So here we'll cover various methods of handling these landowners in terms of how do you create value for them, how do you do design perspectives, what is the international standard which one has to go for in terms of how globally we have uh, you know uh, other countries have developed it, and obviously look at capitalistic part of it and also the socialist part of it. So we also give back to society. So as a responsible architect or a planner or an engineer, how do you do it? That's what I want to cover it with.
Yeah, I think every land has its own character. It has a different personality of its own. I could say that. So that one you deal with one land piece of one land piece of one land differently than the other. You cannot treat them same. So you have to understand a lot of this understanding that goes behind what forms the character of the land.
And
And as architects and planners, we then kind of understand the land and design on it. Even engineers, then they have to understand the land, how it's behaving, and then design on it. Now, we have to enhance the value of this land, and and also you, as you talked about, that it's very different perspective. So, how does knowledge of real estate will help us in designing better on that land piece of land that we have? So design intelligence that you have talked about, we want to know more about it.
see, this session actually has been specific because this is something very close to my heart because I'm an engineer, but I had a lot of architect friends into while I was studying, and then from there on, I've been continuing to work into this field, work with some of these international architects and planners, and I realized that the success of a product comes with understanding by the architect's team or the planners team or engineers sitting there in that room and deciding on and understanding the so let's say you have a large parcel of land and you want to design it. Just don't go onto a drawing board and start designing. You take the brief, you understand the brief, you detail the brief. I think if 80% of your time goes into writing the script, I think 20% is then get into onto the drawing board and get into the concepts and things like that. Then your weightage becomes 80-20 reverse of. The point is that essentially you need to understand, looking to the current market scenario, you need to do an optimum design which is cost effective, which is scalable. The product can be enhanced with the change of FSI. It has to be integrated with things like harbor stations or metros or various modes of transport, the retail part and things like that. So essentially, you need to understand what is optimum design. You just can't say that okay, we'll do residential, we'll do commercial, this is maximum I can do. Okay, fine, there are specialists available, there are consultants available who will tell you to do this and do that. But the point is that your design also has to work as an overall an overall perspective at the macro level and also at the micro level.
Mm.
So when it comes to an end user perspective, end of the day, our job is to make life easy for our citizens. So you're walking from a metro station to a mall, which is located on a residential, in a project where there is residential, commercial, and other integrated mixed development. I think your brains are really, you need to work hard on your optimum design, and then your costing and other things start. Your time of delivery starts, and your there has to be something like design audit, which I always used to do when that whether that every corner of my space is well utilized or not in terms of value proposition. So
Yes.
that's on optimum design. Then components of design brief, you need to get into it into detail on what should be my target audience and things like that. For whom am I making?
Mm.
What is the use of making these homes or these offices or places? And now with pandemic coming in, I think more so that we need to relook at what we have done. It's time to go back to the drawing board and work with the developer and tell them that, look, guys, you need to do this and do that. And then obviously the understanding the market needs. Of course, the best successful architects are those who actually, or the successful engineers are those who design something which sells. So end of the day, the customer should be happy. So we need to map it further.
Rightly said that only designing will not help. It has to sell in the market. And I feel that always what we are into is we are into a product manufacturing. Although a product is much of greater value and of much bigger scale, but we are still into a product. Principles of what other industries do for product designing and innovation is your next lecture. So please shed some light on this topic that you have curated.
See, this is again, something which is, I think, super important in terms of product, because when you look at typically when my friends would understand that project, and product. So why do you call product here? Because the product is that particular thing which is it's like somebody is selling, you're buying a product from an online portal or a mall, and then shipping it. That guy ships it to your home, and then you open the packing, and so that the 4 P's of marketing, where packaging is not required here, but the packaging comes in a different way in terms of what are you making. So like I said in the previous session, here we are talking of exactly the product. And what are the nuances of designing those? What are those factors, parameters which you need to consider into the local market? Let's say we have these, I was working on one of the projects where we had these, elevations which were where we don't, in India, we don't need too much lights. So, we need more balconies. We need more open spaces for our customers who can, will be very happy. And when we design these buildings with balconies in Mumbai, because those time FSI was not part of it. I mean, we got tremendous response. So we sold so many apartments in one day. The reason is simple, that you have to design a product which is absolutely friendly, but to an old age senior citizen, to a middle age, to a young guy, to a young, the children and the guest, integration of all these and bringing small things. So go at the micro level, go at the macro level again into the product visualization. So you are here, you are saying that exactly I need this. In let's say office use, like a lot of IT parks or could have these swimming pools and clubhouses, but some of them are highly underutilized. So whether to put that investment into it, or we make it only aesthetically appealing and not really utilizing it. So functionality of space is very important. Then customization for you want to do build to suit, you want to do designing where you have a larger parcel of land and you want to convert it, or there's an existing structure. How do you do improvement into it? Because we have huge stock which is lying old, and you will have opportunities of development, things like that. So innovative designs are must in Mumbai city. I don't see too much of architectural element which is missing. So maybe in this session, I want to add to how an architect can create value by doing innovation. Now it's time for us to innovate our designs, keeping in mind obviously the developers and stakeholders perspective,
Yes.
by which one can self participate.
Yeah, I mean, like as architect planner, and I am sure as engineers, people, professionals get this feedback that designs are we need something innovative in design, but they also talk about at the same time about finances. So if a designer doesn't understand finances of a project, it becomes very difficult for them to convince to the client that my design is good, or that what it is. You cannot just design from your own fancy. It has to sell. It has to have a good finance. So your next session that you have planned about financial perspective, I think it's very important for all the professionals to understand this financial perspective from real estate point of view. So what are you going to cover in this session? It looks very interesting.
See, finance is something which is very easy.
Hmm.
It's been it is always taught right from when we are in class 8, but somehow we when we get into different kind of professions and when we start ignoring it. But finally, everybody lands into it. So whether you're doing a 5 years course in architecture and coming to with your masters and doing it, end of the day, the developer or your stakeholder or your customer is going to talk about what are the ticket size and things like that. That's one way of it. Second is the project finance. So you need to understand that no projects can work effectively without fair understanding of finance. So finance, from the cash flow point of view, from the making a project successful, phasing of the project, how do you utilize FSI and PDR in a proportionate manner, or you how you're designing, or how and how that implementation. Let's say for an engineer or for a project manager, it is important that how he implements on the site. There is a restriction on certain sites where you can't build. So
Hmm.
how do you utilize, put it into those towers? Let's say you want to do a first tower only or with the principal FSI.
Hmm.
Second tower you want to do with TDR. Third with premium FSI. So how do you manage your, typically we do it on an Excel sheet and or on complex software where we design that. Okay, this is how our things will move, but we do a lot of assumptions in which buildings will come first, how FSIs will be utilized. So keeping all those 4 sessions in mind, and the fifth session becomes important because the developer is going to say that how much money I'm going to put in the first stage. And most of the time, we are all working on pre-sale kind of model, and we want cash flow to be moving simultaneously with while we are building the project. That is why most of the developers, the small and medium side especially, have been struggling in terms of difficult days. So
Hmm.
in these times, these testing times, whether it is COVID or pre-COVID, since 2014-15, I'm seeing a lot of developers struggling on that. The simple reason is that where partners like us, like architects, engineers, planners, have have to also design, tell them that look, this is how we are going to phase this. We have to break it into pieces so that we are not burdened and our projects get delivered. There's no delay. So you are actually like a supply chain partner
Hmm.
into decision making. So fund management is important for you because back of the envelope, you should know about it. You turn into a developer, it's much easier for you to understand. And I'm going to cover basics of finance and explaining about right from telling them that how do you raise funds and how funds become important and what is a cash flow, what is how do you do financial feasibilities, how do you look at back of the envelope calculation. 2 hours is too less to explain all this, but we'll try to do whatever maximum we can capture into this. And when we're presenting a design, you are telling a developer or your partner that look, this is where we are going to get stuck, or this is where we are going to get our returns. So let's do this. So you become an essential partner into those decisions. That's my attempt.
Yeah, that's very good because finance is one chief factor in any of the projects that we do. So this question comes out: how do we manage finance? How are we addressing that big issue? And beside technicality and finance, there are other aspects to the projects that there are many stakeholders in the project. And we as professionals have to keep balancing between ethics, pleasing the clients or the stakeholders, and also maintaining the quality of our project. So this becomes another challenge that I would say we as professionals we have to face. And how can we address or how can we balance this between all these factors and stakeholders interest as well? So
See,
how are you going to tackle that?
if you see this, stakeholder word itself is now getting into a wider horizon. We are no more those landowners. We are no more the land developers only on the frame. We have PE funds, we have venture funds, we have so many kind of investors who coming in. We have private investors, we have the family, concerns which, who want to put in money, huge money into the real estate. People want to, foreign funds are moving in. FDI was opened way back almost 15, 20 years back. I think REITs have come in. REITs are likely to come in a big way, in not only in terms of commercial, like one or two of them have been, so one or two have been listed right now on the stock exchanges. So you need to understand that, look, when a guy is telling you to create a product, a brief is given to an architect or an engineer, he has to understand that there is a long-term perspective to what a stakeholder is looking at. So how he's going to enter the project, what are the exit strategies,
Mm.
what kind of rental incomes is he expecting, so how valuations are going to work for him. He is going to leave it to you in terms of designing a product which is going to give him maximum value.
Mhm.
So I've dealt with various forms of stakeholders who understand design, who want to be part of the design, who don't want to be part of it. But over the years, everybody understands, that this is the value which I'm going to, because we test every product. A common man can become part of this kind of inputs. So it is tested. Our product designs are tested, and I think time it's time that uh, uh, if we understand the dynamics of how the P funds or the real estate funds are coming into the market, how they are participating with us, how in a short horizon, with new technologies and with new designs, we can deliver it faster. Let's say warehousing, the guy wants it in 6 months.
Mm.
Logistic park 6 months. Infrastructure of logistic park 6 months, 18 or 12 months. They want everything to be ready
Mm.
because there's a meter which is running. It's saying that my clock is running. I put in money. I want my returns within coming 1 year. I want to start my rentals and I want to exit in 5 years.
Mm.
So quick. So it's like real estate is an asset in its own, in a very investment asset in its own way, and it's time for us to, as creators, uh, to not only get sunk into our dream designs and dream outfits, but we need to say that yes, we want to do practical outputs so that it's from straight ready for use, marketable,
Mm.
scalable, robust. I mean,
Mm.
you're doing the best of it, and you're answering every angle. You're reducing the risk, you're increasing the returns, you're plateauing the extremities of the markets, and you are covering it into such a way that you're participating in those decision making. You're telling that guy, look, this is the strength of my team, and this is how I'm going to deliver.
Mhm.
So people who will I'm sure stakeholders. And today, I mean, why we have a set of municipal architects and design architects separate, time for us to be integrated and understand the laws of the land, to create value, derive value for the developer. And most of these architects the design architects who have been successful have understood the laws of the land, the municipal laws, bylaws, and regulations, and sticking to those regulations and creating ethical practice. So ethical part of it, essentially, I want to drive it because it's the last session, and I think for me, this country, we in this country, we need to bring in more and more, value proposition, being into those within the framework of law. So let's create practices which are acceptable to the customers, to the developers.
Yeah, lot of I think interesting topics that you're covering in this session, and it's looking very interesting from an architect's or planners or engineers perspective.
In
So
fact, in
yeah,
fact,
so,
Snail, I would interrupt you.
yeah.
You know, I have seen some of my architect friends, very senior architect friends, who work not only in India but in MENA region, let's say Middle East, Africa, and things like that,
Mhm.
or even in Southeast Asia. Most of these guys have done. They are doing dual practice because they feel that they when they work in India, they don't get, sometimes they don't get paid well in terms of their fee structures and things like that. So here I also want to bring a very important point, is that how we actually derive value, how our engineering profession or an architecture profession gets paid, not in terms of in terms of an asset, as a barter or an adjustment in terms of difficult time, but we are said that, look guys, you're like doctors, we can't live without you, and we find it very important for you to, as a contributor to the success of the project. And how we recover our outstanding fees. And if you learn this at the first 5 years of your career, I think it's not that I'm trying to focus on how do you charge. You can charge a fee. You can work at 1 rupee also. The point is that you should be paid at 1 rupee in time. And for every effort, every concept you make, there has to be a value that
Yes.
there is a lot of design thinking, there's a lot of product innovation, a lot of financial thinking which has gone by the architect, and that is why the guy has to be paid on whatever other terms of contract. So
Yeah, it has
I'm
to be.
sure.
Yeah, when you bring in, like, just when you talk about design, it doesn't go well with the client. That you have to talk holistically to them. You have to talk about how that is the need of the market. That is how you are addressing that market. That is how you are going to, phase wise, you can complete the project. If you give that kind of inputs with your design inputs, you are more valued. That by experience I can tell you. And if you understand the regulations as well, if you are also ethical in your practice, so a lot of things that you're covering, I have experienced personally in my professional life, that if you talk up from these angles, the client is yours. He's not going to leave you.
Absolutely.
He's not going anywhere, and the next project he will definitely think about you as your team member. So this
True, true.
certainly adds value, a lot of value to your existing technical knowledge. And this is
Yeah.
true for not just architects and planners who are into the initial stage of the project, but also for engineers when they are coming into the team, and they know all this perspective, what a developer is thinking, what an architect is thinking. And from real estate point of view, they also become very valuable, because they are the ones who are going to make that building functional or workable in terms of structural design or MEP design, or whatever the value they bring in. So this knowledge is well integrated. This is much needed for any technical field of built industry. That's what I would say.
No,
And
I
the
think
way you have,
you turn into a good entrepreneur because you, as an architect, typically you are an entrepreneur. With an engineer, there are options of working with a company. But again, you are as good an entrepreneur. You are taking so many decisions at the site, which are sometimes the architects have not given you those design details, and you want to take those decisions. So it's not. It is equally important for those that construction project manager or engineer to how does he handle it,
mm,
how these things work. So when you're turning out this course into more of an insight, and taking you, maybe tomorrow, let's say, some of these people who actually attend this course, and they think of specialization, they go into MBA, into the MBA of real estate, or
mm,
into any typical general MBA, or doing their masters in planning and things like that, or masters in architecture, their perspectives will change. Their
yes.
value, the value which they go to those universities will actually add in terms of a cutting edge, in terms of, let's say you go and study in US after this, or you go to any of the institutes in India, and you're talking of costing, and you're talking of finance, and you're talking of financial modeling. You have a fair, it's like a bridge course. I mean, before you enter into a
Mm,
postgraduate school, you bridge course. If you are into your working professional, you're finding a place into those essential key decision making meeting, because your seniors or your promoters will actually understand that the guy is giving value. So I think this course has been designed with that objective, that youngsters need to get used to what we are talking. And if they are trained from day one, then when we work in offices and when we think of project, we know, you have to do a market research. You need to do competition analysis. You need to understand the product design. So you start getting into detail of everything, and you start owning it. That ownership will definitely get into their minds, when you do this course. And I think that's my attempt, and this is more like a. I felt that I should give back to the industry for so many years what I've learned. So that was the whole idea.
it's very good thought, I think. And it will definitely benefit people who are, like, professionals. If there is a lot of place for architects, engineers, planners in real estate market as their core profession, as if you're practicing your as a core professional, or if you want to be a real estate person, if you want to be an architect and real estate expert, there is a scope for that combination also, or an engineer and a real estate expert, there is a scope for this combination. And even if you have done this MBA, I think Prajnesh has a lot of knowledge in practicality. So whatever has been skipped or not covered in classrooms, I think Prajnesh is going to talk with practical terms about those aspects. And that will benefit even if you have done something in real estate and if you want to get additional practical knowledge about this topic and you want to have one-to-one conversation with somebody like Prajnesh, I think it's a great opportunity uh, to do this. So this course, this is the details of the course. It's on Alternate Angle Academy website. Also, it starts on 26th June and it's only 6 sessions, 2 hours per week for this session. And this we have designed specially for architects, engineers, and planners. Also, senior students who are into their masters or bachelor's program, they can also join. And young professional or entrepreneurs, as Pratish rightly told, that for entrepreneurs, this knowledge is very important, that you understand it holistically. So the registrations for the course are open. So I would urge everybody to have a look at it. Read the session details are also given on our website, what we discussed today, and think about it. I think it will benefit you. The course is also on a discount right now. It was initially planned at 9,000, but we are at a discount for at 4,500 rupees right now, and I hope more and more people avail this discount and get knowledge. That is the aim of this course, to get more people to and spread the knowledge about this valuable industry and this vast broadening their horizon. So I think with that I will stop sharing, and we're open to question and answer. Prajnesh, you want to add something, or
No, I'm good. In fact, I wanted to add that it's not a discount; it's an afford. It's more affordable to everyone. So more people can get into this course. That was
yes.
the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So because of this pandemic time, and
Yeah,
people are
true.
facing this financial difficulty, and we want to, share that burden a little bit. So we are giving, although this value is much more of this course, we are giving it at
No,
smaller
this
price.
is more of a social objective. So
Yeah.
that's more
Yeah.
has to be understood. Sure.
So with that, if you have heard our conversation today, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We are here for some more time to get your questions. And you can unmute yourself, ask questions. So yeah, this session is also being recorded. It will be uploaded on our website. So if you want to review it again, or if you want to share it with somebody you might think that will benefit from this discussion and the course, please share it. It's open. It's on our website. It will be uploaded today. And this offer is also till today, so it will be better if you register for this course. Any questions? Anything regarding your own uh, perspective about this course, or from your point of view?
Hi, this is Milind Surve here. I was just a passive listener so far. I just want to say a few things. Actually, I'm filling in for our coordinator today, who's down due to vaccination. And I just heard what Pragnesh and Snell was talking about. And being a practicing architect and planner, I heard a lot of things that I think you guys as young professionals should know. One of them is your role as a professional and how it helps to understand the holistic picture. I mean, today I'm designing buildings which are located in multiple geographies, have differential values due to the markets around them. But unless I understand those markets, unless I understand those real estate values and perspectives of clients, their needs, I'm not able to design those buildings suiting to their requirements. So the last session that Pragnesh talked about the stakeholders and their mindsets, and the one before that, the financials, they become very, very necessary to understand as a designer, as a professional. You might be an architect or an engineer or a planner. You need to understand the perspective of the end user and your client. Now, your client and end user may not be the same person. Sometimes they are the same person. So unless you have that understanding, the holistic understanding, which talks about building as a product or a commodity, which we architects are not used to, something that Pragnesh touched based on, is very, very important. The moment we look at it as a product or commodity, you are able to uh, view it with a detachment. I think architects and engineers are usually very attached to their buildings, and they want to raise their as their babies, and they forget that it's to be sold or given to someone else, and it has to be with their perspective also. So I think something that you guys will understand, that when we are developing our projects, we should also look at them not just as buildings, but as products or commodities, which are necessities of life. And when you look at that, you have to understand the background of those necessities, the socioeconomic conditions, and the real estate values and its financial values. And only then your product can be successful. Pragnish is based on design architects and licensing architects, and how design architects have to understand the laws of the land. I think without that, you cannot design. Without understanding the laws of the land, without understanding their implications uh, in long term, because your buildings are going to stay at least for 40, 50 years, if not more. You have to understand what that life is going to be of the building and its users. Unless you are able to understand that life cycle, you will not be able to design good buildings. So I'm just sharing my part of experience, how I see my buildings which were designed 20 years back, 10 years back, are performing even today. Uh, Pragnesh talked about balconies, and how they could sell more apartments because of the balconies. And that's a fact. Sometimes we have to also talk about this vision or ideas and sell it to our clients, that okay, you are going to sell square footage and amenities, but that balcony, that element, a design element, an innovative element, factors into that square footage also, and has a lot more value than just the rate of the square feet. So it's a quality of life value which you have to kind of enhance, you have to uh, appreciate. So these are the elements that you need to understand holistically. And when you look at your buildings, your real estate products with multiple perspectives, I hope we have that kind of diverse group in this course, where we have architects, engineers, planners, and even entrepreneurs who would want to see the same building product with a different angle. Whichever angle you are sitting today, you will change your angle through this course and try to appreciate that building in a different angle. So I just wanted to share this. So that's all. Please go ahead with your question answers, and I'll go back to my passive listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Milind. That was very interesting. You added you know, a different perspective. I was just thinking about how when we walk into airports, when we walk into railway stations, and when we walk into so many of these spaces where we don't when we always common men always ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai, all those things come into our life, and we remember that how that element of an architect would wanted to do, but he was stopped, or he was not allowed to do an element of aesthetic or functionality due to the cost reasons and things like that. So essentially, an engineer can do utilization of the right material along with an architect, and say that this is something which is going to work. So within our budgets, we'll do much better product. Value engineering becomes very important. Okay, just see if there are any questions, or we can close the session.
You can just introduce yourself, from which field you are, and what do you think about today's talk? Today's talk was also to sensitize everybody about importance. So it is not just about course and all this thing, but this understanding that this perspective is important for your profession. That was also a motive of this session today. So do you have any thoughts from that angle you can also share?
Hello, sir and ma'am. I think sir has covered all the topics which is required and essential for as per the current market demand. And similarly, the sir has also teach all the same topics in during our curriculum as well.
Mhm.
So I think it's pretty much good that everything is covered in this course and in this so much of time. So less time and we are learning many more things.
Yeah, that's right, Raj. This is kind of everything packed into a small package, uh, and we are trying to cover all the aspects. We are at least trying to make everybody understand that these are the different aspects which you can even study deeper at a different level. So thank you for your comment. Pradnesh, you want to add? Yeah.
No, I mean, he's bang on.
Okay.
Thank you, Raj.
Thank you, Raj. So there are few more questions on the chat box from Siddhi. Siddhi More is asking, what are the different opportunities which opens up for an architect after pursuing MBA in real estate?
Well, I don't market MBAs, but I can say that when you are an architect and you understand, which I've covered into these 6 sessions, and you're talking of marketing and sales, you're talking of finance, operations management, HR, managing people, managing stakeholders. There's so many things one needs to understand, implement while doing a project. Like I said, it's like making a film, and every time an architect thinks he or she is the creator, he or she wants to do exactly like that film director and get that actor to do exactly the way. And who are those actors? We are all the actors. So basically, it's very important for you to understand from a directional perspective that how do you run this project well. And I think if you're after this, if you're doing your MBA course, I think it's only going to add to your vision, because your horizons change, the way managers look at it, how decisions are made, how how your concept planning would actually be driven in a very different perspective, because then you don't have only pencil with you. You also have you don't only have this your brain cells don't work only for designing. Your designing completes, it's a complete package which you're delivering, because the guy wants this. And I'm telling you, I've seen people working very hard on concept planning. They're working there, they submit their plans, their projects don't get approved, new architects is hired. Right from that frustration to making it successful, I think your answer to your question, yes, MBA helps you. Any course where you have an understanding and you get the domain expertise of it, it's only going to help you. So if you're planning to do it, I think you should do with a good school which offers you good curriculum and explains you better. And I think as a precursor, I have given that background into my course as well. I hope that answers the question.
And there are many opportunities after. I know many architects who have gone into this real estate profession full-fledged, and it's not like leaving behind architecture as such. It is adding to your knowledge, and you are an architect with the real estate knowledge. So you are valued more in firms like different firms who like design build companies or developer companies or banks. There are a lot of opportunities that opens up if you have this knowledge. So it is a combination. You are increasing. Also to answer Kuntal's question, that he's asking that in brief, as an architect, this course can open up new horizon, or it is a diversion. So it's up to you, I think, how you want to take it. Like I have studied architecture, and after that I have done my planning, but it doesn't undo my architectural knowledge. It always adds to it. So as a planner and an architect, I can give more inputs. So I'm sure as a real estate person with an architectural knowledge will give you more a different perspective, a more wider horizon. And it is up to you. You want to work as an architect after this, or you want to completely go into real estate business. So what you want to primarily put up yourself as, and what is your interest. So it's all depends on that. But it is important to have understanding of as many subjects as possible, which will help you in your core knowledge and which will help you grow as a person.
I think if I can add Snehal here to answering to taking this Kuntal's thing, that let's say you have a corporate client, let's say you have a large IT company, you're doing 100 acres of development, you're doing buildings for them, and that, like, pre-pandemic or post-pandemic, uh, the way things, the buildings get occupied and people come to work are changing. Now these dynamic perspectives are to be understood, and essentially if you do this course, is nowhere it is divergent. In fact, I started my career as an engineer. I used to work with Gammon. I realized that there are a lot of things which I can do as a planner, as a management graduate. You get an insight on how decisions are made. And first maybe 5 years, yes, you are engrossed into designing. You even if you are a software engineer, how many years you do coding? You do coding for 5 years, 10 years, then you have to become a manager. You're managing a team, and then subsequently you're making products and decisions. And ultimately, all these guys go back to school and do their masters in MBAs, or whatever kind of courses they do. So nobody does coding at the age of 60s. I mean, you take the top guys in the world. I mean, so it's more of understanding, right, taking every step into your career, moving, and then also taking all those each and every skill which you have, and then you have you're a complete man, you're a complete person. So not biased to men only. So I correct myself to, you're a complete person in terms of giving a right package to yourself, and you are also diversifying for your career advantages, because you have additional skill which you're never going to go back to school after 10 years. Believe me, at the age of 40s and 35 and 40, it's very difficult to go back to school and learn. But let's say in trying times, in difficult times, look at pandemic, people who had multi-skilled abilities have been successful. They are not worried about their future. So I think, Kuntal, I think you should, whether you do this course or not, but you should look at something which gives you diverse skills, so that you're completely equipped. End of the day, you're going to look at your balance sheets, and you're looking at, and if you can't understand the elements of balance sheet, no matter you're an architect or an engineer or a software coder, or the guy is going to look at P&L, profit and loss, and your account statements. So that's going to be also one of the factors which will tell you. I don't feel that way, but which may feel where the world will accept you, that yes, you're a successful guy.
Yeah. No knowledge goes to waste. That's what I believe. At least I try to learn about different aspects, and it helped me in my work in some way or the other, in just starting the conversations with somebody, or telling them that I understand them better. So no knowledge goes to ever waste, and whatever you have learned, it always adds to it. It always adds to you as a person. What Pradesh was saying, it makes you complete as a person. It helps you grow as a person. So learn as much as you can, as possible.
I mean, look at Snehal, look at you being a woman would appreciate it more. You're designing a multi-cuisine restaurant, okay? And you have those sections of Jain and non-veg and veg and 20 things. Now you're an architect. is it not essential for you to understand the business perspectives, what are the space functionalities, how costing will work, how customers will walk in? Why do you want to learn real estate only? Go and learn retail also. You're designing a mall, you need to understand what a apparel business works, how a McDonald's work, or how a Burger King works. Because your revenues are being shared based on what business they are doing.
Yeah.
How many chai the guy is going to sell, or how many garments is going to sell, how is billing going to happen. You need to understand that. Otherwise, you can't create a design.
Yeah.
How do you service? How do you service a developer? And you talk this language, I'm telling you, people will understand it. That's the language of the world. That's what I say.
Yeah. So our as built environment we built environment professionals. We build for everybody. We are blessed with the skill of giving everybody a shelter and a place to work, and we build communities. So it is essential for us to understand those communities in every perspective as we can. The real estate is also about that. How a user is going to use it, how they are going to perceive it as a property. They are going to invest a lot of their personal savings and hard earned money. So and it is our duty as a professional to give them what they want. So I think this course is a good step ahead towards that direction as well. So we can talk on and on. So we have been working in this field for such a long time. Pratnesh is also very passionate about this field. We keep on chatting for long hours on this. We can keep on and on, but somewhere we have to curtail our session today.
Yes.
So yeah, please join the course. See the details if you're interested. Join the course if you're interested in that. If you like what you heard today, and recordings are available. Share it with your friends who might be interested, and let's spread the knowledge. That's all I can say. So thank you all for joining today, for listening. And the course starts on next Saturday, that is 26 from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's the timing of the course. So and the registrations are open. Please go to our website. The website is in the chat box right now. Please go there, book your course, and see you at the course. Hope to see many of you over there and gain from this knowledge, that precious knowledge which Pratnesh is going to share with everybody. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Nehal, for being the great moderator and giving a lot of insight about you are an architect, so you can share all your thoughts more closely with your with the new generation. And I have spent many years being an engineer and planner, so I know exactly what goes into their life, and when they hit across those obstacles, my attempt is only to remove those obstacles at a very early age of life. So all the best to friends who have attended, who wish to join in. We'll be happy to see you next Saturday. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank
you all.
Thank you all. Thanks a lot.